So so where we left off last time, it's the day before, the night before. The semis have rolled in. You've had that great feeling of an empty field turning into like a little city or a village. The stage has popped up, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and we're talking about, just so to be clear, we're talking about the very first
NDCF 1.
NDCF number 1.
I always get confused. You guys start talking around. I'm like, wait, is that 1? Is that 2? Is that 3? Where are we
talking shop? And hey, remember this? Remember that, man? And
I'm like, just getting confused. Hey. Who played where? Who sung what went on?
What are you guys saying?
We're just talking NDCF 1. So it's your first time putting on a production like this. You're there. You're at the field. It's the morning of. What? Describe the layout.
So the layout, when Ralphie and I were looking at it and we plan it, you have all these, if you want to call it AutoCAD or drawings, that we have. Right. I mean, there's literally, you lay it out. So you
got on a computer?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So we lay it out, and and there was different things going on because nothing like this, once again, has never been done before in that area. So we had the stage, obviously, and then we had a huge chain link fence going right down the middle of the whole area. Now, what that was we had to split it due to a beer garden where 21 and over was on one side and 21 and under on the other.
You had a chain link fence down the center of the field.
6-footer. It's a 6-foot. Thank you to 6.
Where people fall
Modern Fence Works. Thank you. No. It was a 6-foot fence, chain link fence.
So it's like me plus minus 4 inches. So
yeah, and that sucker went from the middle of the stage all the way back about 200 yards
so
back.
Let me guess, all the people were on the non-drinking side.
No.
So how many people were on the non-drinking side? Like 10?
Maybe a couple hundred out of thousands.
So everybody's jammed into the bar. They're all stuck in there.
Well, it was heavy loaded if they're on the stage. It was heavy loaded on this side and not so much on this side.
Doesn't make for good pictures.
Well, so that was down that way. And then we had reserved seating too that was out there for another 500. And then the other side was a pit, but you still had to be you could be overage or underage, but you just couldn't bring your beer over there. But once again, remember.
That sounds all very complicated trying to figure out where everybody's going.
Well, and it turns out, right?
But, just get rid of the fence and go.
Well, that's a whole different deal, my friend, right? Because that's, once again, one of those first time for everything. And that's where we were at with the whole thing logistically and, legally at that time.
Right. Trying to work out
everything cleared and how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And that's what
we're going to put a 6-foot fence down the world.
Well, that
down
was the
middle.
Concern. Yeah.
Nobody can get over the wall.
Easy enough. We'll run a 6-footer down.
You're here. You're there. Except everybody's going to want to be over here.
But to be clear, for safety, I mean, there were collapsibles every 20 yards. So in case anything ever happened.
Way to CYA yourself there, buddy.
So that's what was going on.
It looks great.
Well, we looked at that thing on that morning, and all the banners were up, and the fences were up.
You're like, hey, this looks good.
Tents were up. The food vendors in the back were just rolling. Ralphie's beer garden that he had set up just looked amazing. There was signage everywhere and a huge semi. And I was like, man, this is legit, right? Like, this looks good. And then there was the first layout. There was obviously some issues going on there that we didn't quite know of until people started.
So it starts. You're getting ready. We're getting closer and closer to, what do you call it when they come out? I don't know.
What's that?
Stage right is when they hit it?
No, we opened up the gates. We opened up, right? And then people just started flooding in. Usually, if anybody knows that about any type of outdoor.
Right. People are going to show up early, try to get their seat.
No, usually they show up later because if they already have their seats, they're already usually VIP and reserved. But they show up usually when the sun starts coming down.
Because it's not hot.
You're
so
right.
Up until then, you knew you'd sold some tickets, so you knew people were going to come.
We knew, yeah. We knew we had thousands coming.
You weren't nervous about that part.
No. And you're always just sitting there looking like, okay, what's traffic going to look like? Traffic as far as foot traffic, like how are they going to come in, which way are they going to go, where are they going to gravitate to, all that kind of stuff.
And this is the first time you've done it, but I know your mind is always analyzing, how do I make this better, how do I do this, what can I do, and then it's got to be information overload at this point, right?
Oh, it totally was because you're looking at it and all of a sudden you see thousands of people at the gate and then they're rushing in and like, where are they going? Where do you think they went?
To the beer? To the bar? Straight to the bar. That's where you
Everybody
head.
on the right-hand side.
Right.
Everybody on the north side.
Get as many mixed drinks as I can in me, or as many beers as I can, and I'm ready to go.
They're like, what's this fence?
How do we get over it?
No, they didn't matter. I'm talking about the one down the middle.
Did they just get all right up next to it, or how did that work? Like,
They did. Everybody was super cool about it. They
leaning on
understood. They understood. Once again, there were other shows that were extremely a lot smaller.
that had done the same thing.
Same thing. So they were used to a fence, but then when there's thousands, it was like, whoa,
It's
this
kinda
looks
like-
weird.
You know what it kind of reminds me like? The under 21 bars here, where there used to be a great bar out in Tempe called the Sun Devil House, which I love. One of my favorite places. But they'd have underage.
Yeah.
And there'd be a wall that say, this is under 21 and this is 21. And it was just,
Well, that's exactly what it was.
yeah,
Except it was
the drunk people are
200
up
yards long. Chain link caged animals.
there weren't a ton of
They
under
weren't that.
21s people there. They were caged animals, all subdued by booze. You just keep beating them, please.
Looking at it now, it's like, what?
How did
but
this
there
go?
was
But
there's things we had to do.
to be
the first-
fair,
we had to.
it's your first time going through.
Well, not only that, but it was everybody else's first time. Like, you're going to do what? Oh, there's thousands of people come. How are you
do we
going to
do
do
this?
this? This is the way you've had. Everybody's done it in the past. This is the way you have to do it.
Right.
And then, obviously we grow together.
Right. Once
Right.
you've done it the first time, you're like, hey, there's
Hey,
your
you saw
after
this,
after
can we do
festival
this?
assessment, and like, hey, that fence really has to go. So, all right. So then let's bring in Ralphie.
We're going to bring in the Ralphie a little bit and polish a couple things up from last week and give some more couple great stories that we have.
Couple great stories
They're
at this.
good.
Let's see if you can figure this out while we're talking.
Oh,
you
it's
calling back?
ringing, man. It's ringing. Is Ralphie going to answer as a question? There it is.
Ralphie, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, look at that. Responsive
that.
right away.
That didn't even ring. Was it supposed to ring, Jared? It was my first time calling a guest.
I think I muted it up until that point and just randomly unmuted it, and it worked like a charm.
Timing is
Skill.
everything.
So, all right, Ralphie, we just got to the point where Luke has opened up the gates. People are filing in as the sun goes down. I don't know. How would you describe that night, Luke?
It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was beautiful out. It was like 80 degrees. And in North Dakota, 80 degrees isn't too hot.
Right.
It isn't too cold.
It's just perfect.
And there's no wind. Which
wind.
is very unusual in the plains area of North Dakota.
I'm from Cody, Wyoming, where I watched my little sister get blown down the street one day coming home from school. So I get the wind. So none
it was
of that.
beautiful.
There's no lightning. There's no
No
nothing to worry
storms.
about.
Nothing. Clear as can be.
Obviously, you've been walking old ladies across the street and being a good kid to get all that good luck going.
Hey, whatever turns the weather, man.
All right, so you got the perfect night, and then it's all of a sudden kind of dawned on you, I got to look at all of this. Everybody's coming to me with questions
Correct.
about the front of the house, the back of the house, what's going on here. What's the front of the house?
So, the front of the house is going to be from the stage, the front of the stage, all the way to the back of the venue.
Right, so that's
that
good.
chain link fence from the
That was-
all the way to the back.
So that's why you really got Ralphie involved, so the chain link fence was his problem?
No, it wasn't that. It was a lot of other things. So I was like, whoa, there's a lot of things coming at me. I go, hey, Ralphie, can you take care of, you already were taking care of the beer garden and the beer tickets, but hey, some people with some questions on tickets so don't get me wrong. We had a bunch of other team members.
Right, you had team members, but you're all still kind of in this first time phase where there's stuff coming at you that you're not.
A little bit, yeah. So I needed somebody to buffer the front of stage, front of house, and say, hey, if you have something, go to Ralphie first, and then if it escalates, get to me, and then we can go from there.
And you've already worked with Ralphie from the Mud Run, so you're good with it.
Right, and he obviously already got the food trucks things going, and the beer garden was just killing it. So I call, I go, hey, I don't even know if I asked you. Did I even ask you? It was just like, hey, can you take this? And if anybody asks any questions, can you answer them?
It was just one of those in the moment decisions, I think.
Yeah.
I think there was just too many people that you could give answers to. So it was just easier to delegate it to me. I'm already up there for it. That's kind of how I felt it went. It was kind of just spur of the moment, halftime adjustment. Hey, we need someone that can make the final decision up front. Ralphie, can you do it? Yes.
So I like how this came about, or when you guys were talking about it, because you were like, yeah, we're 15 minutes in at 7:15 and Luke's coming to me with a walkie-talkie and asking if I can handle the front, where Luke is like, oh, it wasn't 15 minutes in, it was a lot longer than that, right? But Ralphie's like, no. So you just handed him a walkie-talkie. How often did he use that walkie-talkie?
Not much. And you know what? To be honest, I really wasn't answering mine either.
Right. Well, you got to be, I don't want to say, it's like a restaurant term, like where you're in the weeds and you're just busy. Like you don't have time to think. You don't have time to do anything. You probably didn't even have time to really enjoy the music or all the other stuff, because so many people are coming to you with questions about how to do this, how to do that.
No, and you still don't. You know, even so now, shoot, we have a team of like 35. You know, from front and back, all the way around in operation. So, right. But even so, you still can't just. We can now. You know, pause a few moments here and there, enjoy it, and smell the roses a little bit. But there's still many things happening.
So when NDCF is coming up, what is that? 5, 4? What are we going to call it?
It's going to be 5.
5. Mm-hmm. So 5, you've got a machine going.
Oh yeah, it's well oiled
so
right now.
It's not going to be like the first time where you're like, oh, what's going on here?
The best part though, when I came, what I do remember, I'm like, hey, can you help out in the front of house and kind of handle some stuff? And you know what he said? Yeah, I got it. So and then I was like, yep, he's got it.
So Ralphie, what sort of stuff did you have to deal with the front of house?
I pretty much had to deal with like people trying to get in the beer garden with IDs, making sure that everyone's getting checked.
People underage want to drink? Who knew?
No, actually, people wanted to get into the beer garden without an ID. So
we card everybody. You have to have your license on.
Which is liability standard reason. Right. They're not used to that up there?
We knew that there was a lot of eyes on us, and they wanted to make sure we were doing it right. So
you did it right.
We followed our policy 100%. So
as we still do today.
Yeah,
that's even more.
Well, you're down to a machine. You learned that.
Another one would be like everyone's trying to, throw names around. Hey, Ralphie told me I can get a beer.
Luke said I could have a VIP ticket.
Even I wanted a beer, and they're like, "No, you don't know him."
Fine. You're like, "Have you heard my laugh? I am signature Luke Schaefer."
Like, whatever.
After about an hour and a half of them walking over and trying to find me to see if they can give someone a beer, they kind of realized that I wouldn't let anyone just have a free beer. So.
Why would you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not your beer to give at this point, right?
Correct.
All right. So then I like the
fence jumping. We had some fence jumpers try
to fence jump, but Ralphie would come back and throw him back over the fence.
No, security.
Are we talking fence jumping in or trying to get over the 6-foot fence to get from the bar to the non-bar?
No, nobody tried that.
Nobody tried that?
Well, we had people lined up on that one. And the outside too.
I have, in the most recent past,
don't be that guy, Jared. Don't be that guy.
A fence jumped onto the bird's nest at the Phoenix Open.
You're that guy.
It was, a full day of Phoenix Open.
I never would have figured you.
And then I followed a group of guys, and somebody who opened a gate, and we all went in to see Kid Rock.
Unbelievable.
And I got to tell you, most amazing show I never expected to be amazing was Kid Rock. He was just great.
So what was the story on the fence Jared jumpers?
The fence Jared jumpers. Yeah, that's how it is. And then I like the one about the mannequin guys.
Well, let's talk about the fence jumper first.
The fence
jumper?
Was good.
The fence jumper, we had this big Budweiser semi along this fence, and it's 54 foot semi.
No way.
That was kind of our backdrop for our beer garden.
It looked awesome.
We needed a billboard.
That's sort of that beer distributing talent that you know how to set up the looks of it, huh?
Oh yeah.
Product placement.
Nice.
But we ended up leaving a 4-foot gap in between the semi and the fence, and there was a few people that made it to the top of the fence before a few of us
caught on
security there, and security.
So were they climbing the van, or the truck to get over the fence, or how was that working?
The truck was on the festival bowl side.
Okay.
So they were trying to get over the fence in between the semi and the fence and sneak out, and then they were home free.
Wait,
Right.
how much was the ticket to the first one?
65. It was only one night.
One night, so
at
$65
the gate, it was 65 or $70, something like. It was pretty
So
cheap.
I guess $70, or try to climb a fence and jump over.
But you know what that tells me?
You have a product that people want.
That's right. If you're willing to steal or jump or put some stuff at risk to do it, I'm like,
To get
wow,
it, you really want to get
you
it.
must really like it.
They're just trying to save some beer money.
Here, let's hear that mannequin story.
Yeah, I like this one.
Because okay, so Ralphie was also ahead of the vendors, the craft vendors.
He was pretty much doing a little bit of everything up front. Keeping people off the fence line.
He was.
Dealing with the booze. Listening to all the people who say, I know Luke.
Yeah.
We were getting winding down for the night. I don't think the show was quite over, but there was people wandering around, probably not where they should be.
A little bit inebriated, maybe.
Oh, it was
Group of
late.
Friends. Oh, yeah, it was probably about 11. So probably had their fill of drinks.
No.
Came up, I think and I wasn't there right away, but this is what the story was told. He grabbed the mannequin and headed towards the open door.
So he
He's
thought
trying
it'd
to
be a
steal
good idea to steal a mannequin.
For
What,
the night.
Take him to the camping site and have.
Oh, wow.
They were going to have some laughs and jokes.
Right. I could see young Jared doing something that stupid.
Yeah. The vendor yelled, made a big scene. The guy, was he going to take it? Was he not? We don't really know. He stopped. He started dancing with it, trying to do a funny joke type thing.
Drunk logic right there. If I'm going to steal it, but I act like I'm dancing, I'll get away with it.
But if anybody who knows Ralphie, he can get real serious real fast.
Real quick. Just stone eyes. A little,
Oh, yeah.
what's going on here?
Before I got there, he was a little dirty dancing.
There's got to be video of this somewhere. I want to see the mannequin dirty dancing.
He broke an arm off of the mannequin.
Oh, that's a little too dirty.
So a vendor, I think he was from Minneapolis, came up here. He was selling cowboy hats, cowboy boots,
What do you
kind
need
of
a
that
mannequin?
Western wear. And he was upset. I got to travel this. I got all these expenses. This guy's like, I was just dancing. I was having a good time.
So
And you see Ralphie in between these
Ralphie's
two guys.
Judge Judy. He's got to hear on one side. Got to
One
hear the
guy's
other.
the vendor, and then one guy's sitting there with a mannequin in his hand,
Just an
barely
arm.
standing.
Just an arm.
yeah, just the arm.
The
I don't
vendor
know
has
where
the
the other
mannequin.
pieces are.
And then I'm sitting right in the middle, and I'm like, I don't want to let anyone down.
Yep.
What's the call? Do I get security? Do I try to work it out? I'm like, you guys got about 5 minutes to work this out, or I'm going to go get security. And they ended up working it out after a couple of choice words to each other.
How'd they work it out?
They ended up paying about $250
What?
for the mannequin.
$250? Drunk logic sucks at times. It just comes around and whacks you in the head.
Shouldn't have thought that.
But he ended up being really cool about it. He I think he Venmoed the money to the vendor, and
Wow.
It all worked out.
That's
it all
impressive.
worked out.
And there you have it. Ralphie working the front of the house.
Judge Judy just making sure everybody's happy.
Selling beers, making people happy, creating smiles and memories.
Keeping people out of the fence. Repairing mannequins.
Oh, thanks, Ralphie. Thanks for coming in for the headliner. We will see you shortly, or we won't see you. We will shortly hear from you on Ralphie's Top 3.
I'm just going to put Ralphie on hold.
Oh, you want to be on hold?
No, you got a call. All right, Ralphie, we'll call you back.
Listen,
All right, so the next one up is your big bro.
Yeah, you know what? We talked a little bit about this on the previous episode, and as things were getting closer and closer.
You start getting more and more nervous.
Well, of course, right?
Right.
I mean, that's natural.
So who do you look up
It'd be
to?
crazy if you weren't. Well, it's one of those, obviously, I'm the youngest of 4 boys.
4?
Yeah, and this is my oldest bro. But here's the kicker, right? So we're getting closer and closer. I'm like, oh, man, I need somebody to run the back of the house, which obviously is from the front of the stage all the way to the back,
Right.
not to the front, all the way to the back from the stage to the semis to the load in.
That's got to be somebody you really trust because they've got to deal with the talent.
Well, yeah, you're 100% right. They got to deal with the talent, but on the other end, they can't be starstruck and be like,
Right.
oh my gosh, that's Mike Ray. Oh my kids.
They can't give over their star slurping them up.
My wife, can
Right.
you do that? And be like, hey, how's it going? What do you need?
They just got to be cool.
Food. Yeah, act normal.
Hey, what do you need?
Well, you need somebody responsible. Sometimes you need somebody to bail you out.
So, how many years older is your brother? Like 10?
10.
10? So he's a big brother.
Yeah, he's my big brother. Yep. But Scott's background, he has a master's degree in education and athletic administration. On that being said, he has tons of experience running athletic events.
Right.
At that time, I think it's 20 years of experience. You know, whether it's football games, basketball tournaments, you name it, he had done it. So it's like, you've done this. It's just in a different, atmosphere.
No, it's just like a football game. There's
Should be a lot more fun.
But you won't get to have any because you're going to try not to be starstruck and slurp up these guys.
So I said, hey, you want to come and run back of the house at Indy Country Fest #1? He's like, I'm in. You need me, I'll come help you.
He got a little more notice than Ralphie's 15 minutes. Then, huh?
Oh, he already had that handled.
He already had that
It
handled.
was just kind of just give him the walkie-talkie, make it official.
Make it official. All right, let's call your brother. So,
Let's get him on, and we want to hear from him a little bit about back of the house, running that first-time festival event.
Hello?
Hey, there he is.
Is this Luke's big brother?
I guess you could say that. Is this Jared?
This is Jared.
The Jared.
The Jared. So
Jared, the guy that's behind all the videos.
I am the guy that's behind all the videos. So I like that. Awesome. So I just have 2 questions before we get started. So Luke talks about being the fastest guy at the Colorado football camp. And now, how is some scrawny little dude from North Dakota the fastest guy? Is he just talking smack here?
Well, that was episode 2, too, so you can check that out.
You can check that out on episode. Was he just talking smack, or did that really happen?
That really happened, Jared.
How'd you feel?
It was pretty cool stuff because, all this, I don't know how depth you went into it in episode 2.
You should go listen.
Okay.
It's not how yet.
But he ended up running that thing 4 times.
That's what he said.
And he won each time. And I mean, he blew those guys away from Colorado. He blew me. I was recording it on a VHS, old school VHS.
Is there a recording still? Can you find that? Love to put that out.
I do have it, I think.
Do you?
Somewhere.
That'd be awesome, dude. We'll convert it and put it to digital.
Yeah.
So you're his big bro, and you're sitting there watching this happen. Could you believe it?
Yeah, I could, because, Big Brother's, a little bit biased, but I mean, how fast he was, and I'm pretty sure he talked about some of his games that he played in high school.
Right.
And, little brother Mike, would videotape it and send it to me. And, it's like one of those things where the free safety had the angle. Notice I said had the angle. And the guy was already 15, he was close to him, but he had the angle. Yeah. Luke was
So he was quite a football player?
There's only one thing I know when I was lining up to run those races at the University of Colorado football camp.
Right.
That there was only one guy. There was only 2 guys cheering for me, and I was one. And the other guy was Scott, my big brother.
Yep.
That was it.
That was it. Up in the stands.
Nobody. Yeah, there was nobody else.
Nobody else
everybody
cheering.
else had their Colorado guys or their Nebraska guys, or then so on and so on. It was funny.
It was great.
It was good. It was a good time.
Jared, from North Dakota all the way to Colorado, and it was just like, hey, here we are. Let's do this.
Let's see how it goes. And then he surprises everybody. He's the fastest dude out there.
Yep.
That's impressive. Okay.
And we stopped in Wyoming, Laramie.
And you stopped him. That's
on the way home.
That's where I went to high school.
Yep.
So Laramie Plainsman, woohoo. So, All right. So then the second question I have comes from doing my deep background on our interviewing skills. And Alexa wants to know, who's your favorite child?
That's a funny that she would say that. I have one favorite child, and that's both of them.
Oh,
Spoken like a true dad.
Aha!
Wow.
and she got that right. That's what she said you'd say. So.
Oh.
All right.
Jeez.
Nice. All right. So we're going to get into how Luke came to you and talked to you about being the back of house guy and kind of how that went. So
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the run in the back of the house from the load in and dealing with all the artists and the sound checks and the security and all that. What was your experience when you did that?
Well, let's start the first time with Luke came to me in about, I don't know, was it middle of May, towards the end of May, and he asked me, he goes, first thing, because I'm a teacher, and he goes, hey, when's your last day of school?
So to clarify for everybody, our first one was in the first week of June. Now we're in the second weekend of July. But yeah,
you
so
got a
it
little
was 2
more
weeks.
notice than Ralphie getting 15 minutes into the show. So that's family.
Well, I'm thinking of doing this country fest one day thing in North Dakota in June. I go, when in June? About 13th, something like that, about June. I go, about 2 or 3 weeks from now. And he goes, yeah. And I go, what do you need? I said, what do you need? I go, I'm done. I go, I'll come up and help, whatever you need me to do. You know, I had some experience as an athletic director in high schools, so putting things together, you know, organizing kind of things.
You can do.
So I could do that. And then I had a pretty good, you know, being an AD in Minnesota, you have a pretty keen eye of what the weather's like in that part of the United States. So
That's important. It's not like here where it's just hot or really nice.
yeah. So I said, yeah. I said, okay. And so 3 weeks later, I'm going to North Dakota, going to this New Salem, North Dakota, right underneath the Holstein. We're on the fairgrounds, and he goes, we're going to put it right here. And I go, yeah, I could see that. And
Could you see it? Was it legitimately in your mind's eye? You could kind of get a view for where it was going.
We're in this field, and it's like, we're going to put the stage here. We're going to put this fence here. We're going to have the gate go through here. We're going to have the backstage behind the stage. You coming in through this. And I go, yep, got it.
So we start laying down the spray paint.
Spray paint?
So we started-
Spray painted
yeah.
out. And then boom,
Spray
3
paint.
days later, it's there.
Well, then it's like, so tell me this.
Yeah, Luke wants to know how you feel about something. So this is good.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, of course.
But when it was our first one together on 2017, first Indie Country Fest, and all of a sudden there was five semis rolling in, and all of a sudden it starts happening. What did you feel like?
I was like, holy cow. I was like, hey, Luke, there's a semi coming in. Here comes the stage. Here comes it. It was just like full of it. I mean, it's like you're getting ready for a big game. That's what it was. It was exciting, and it's how everything comes together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's so many wheels in motion, and you've got, you know, from the stage to the fence to the beer truck coming in to the bartenders coming in to setting up the green room that we had. You know, putting the tables were there.
Nice.
What were we going to do for the floor? Because it was dirt, right? You know, this is a field.
So what was the
So
green
we're-
room like? I want to know.
It was actually, you know what? I believe that green room, you know, if we had air conditioning in that one, is better than one we have today.
So what's a green room, just in case people
Oh,
don't know?
green room is the back where the artists hang out before they're going to go on stage. It's usually, there's food there.
They've
there's
got all their
snacks
cool
there,
little
there's-
writers. I want, you know, only green M&Ms.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
right.
Did you have to deal with any of that, Scott?
Yes.
Yes. What was the craziest thing you had to do?
The craziest thing here's the craziest thing is that
Don't name
we had
names.
the-
though.
Don't name names,
I'm not gonna
Don't
name
name
any
names.
names. The craziest thing is that getting all that product, I know the Walmart inside and out in Mandan, North Dakota.
That's awesome.
I was going around getting stuff. I was in there for 3 hours. Luke was calling me, where you at? I go, I'm just going to Walmart getting all this stuff that we got on this list. Holy cow. But we got everything. And we had everything except for one thing. And one guy wanted it, and we got it. Needed coffee, and we had that in our
in the kitchen.
We had everything. Yeah, took that from the kitchen, but we had everything. And they were just, every one of those artists were just like, man, you guys blew it up. The green room, we got carpet patterns from, I can't remember what it was, Menards or something like that.
Really?
We had it all laid down, tables, there was furniture, there was lamps, we had generators around, it was lights, it was just right off the stage. Man, it was great, and then we're filing in, you get backstage and you got, you get security there where they had my phone number because they would get a hold of me because we had, the meet and greets would come through the backstage. So they had to come around where our gate was. Gate's totally different than where it is now.
Way different, yeah.
It's like they came through. I'm helping people coming through in a straight line for meet and greets. They're in, they're out. There's no messing around. And it was, there were so many wheels in backstage from we had
artists loading in constantly.
Yeah. Had you ever been backstage before? Of any show?
Never. The only backstage I've been to is the ones we've been putting on.
So how did you try not to fanboy out? Are you a big country music fan, or are you like me and be like, I'm not sure I know who this is, but you're important, or how'd that feel?
Well, I kind of knew who they were because we had on our ice houses who was in which one.
Right.
So it was pretty cool.
So let me, the ice houses were what we use for the artist dressing rooms. They were fully air conditioned.
Right.
And they were the big, long, they're kind of trailers.
Right.
But we used ice houses.
For them to hang out.
Yeah, they were great. Go ahead, Scott. I just want to let everybody know.
They had a blast and they were watching, who was it? Michael, was it Michael Caine?
Michael Ray.
Michael Ray.
They were big hands. Hockey was being played, at that time, and so we ended up. Somebody had a laptop. We ended up watching a hockey game.
The Predators.
Before they won. Yeah,
you're close to Canada, so hockey's important, I suppose.
So I was like, but no, I didn't. I was just like, because you're in a zone back there where you want everything to run smoothly, and they, from my perspective, that's how I deal with it. My AD thing came in, so I didn't get the old, hey, this is Michael Ray, and this is, all those. We just had to make it run smoothly so that, it looked great. Everybody had a blast. Everybody had a good time. And then, it's just, there's so many stuff. The semis unloading, our first gigs coming in and getting their stuff unloaded, moving in and out, getting them passes. And it's just you're constantly going.
Power of creation, right?
It went from nothing to something.
In motion, like Scott said, there's tons of wheels moving and they're synchronized.
Right. Which is amazing because you had never done this and
never
5 months later, boom.
Never. Show. And still to this day, people that were there, from Nashville and, all the touring managers and even the artists and all that kind of stuff, they still say there's no way I would have ever guessed that this was your guys' first show ever. I would have guessed it was probably your 4th or 5th.
Really?
Because they had, the way it was done and we did it right and we have experience and maybe experience in other types of industries, but yet the same. And they're like, I never would have guessed it.
Well, it's an out of the box situation because you're not festival people, right? You're coming from other worlds, coming in and doing it from a different angle and maybe a little bit better in some things or just differently. So it works out.
Well, literally, they said it was done at an extremely high level.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Scott.
But the experience that we had in other, business areas, from the education to look what Luke has to, what Brandon has and the other people that came in, we were all brought in all our talents and it all came together and we were working as one team.
It's a little kismet. A little bit of what is it? You don't know what kismet is? It's like when the world sort of randomly all comes together for a perfect moment.
Yep.
So, Scott, what was your favorite story from backstage?
Ooh, this will be good. Don't name names. No names.
Don't name it.
Unless it's me or you or whatever. That's
Luke
fine.
super nervous when you start talking about naming names. He starts squirming.
There's.
You got to pick one. You have to pick one.
You can't Ralphie it out. You got to pick what was your favorite moment.
When people say ND Country Fest #1, the first one, and you're like, man, that's
awesome. My story.
Yep. What is it?
Oh God, I'm just trying to. The number one thing, like I said, guys, there's so much stuff that is just.
So, Luke, what was yours while he thinks of his?
What was mine? And I know we might have got to this a little bit later, but I'm going to tell everybody right now.
Yeah.
Is that I knew we had something when we knew, obviously, the pre-sale was amazing.
The tickets you
for
sold.
what we were expecting
Right.
to what happened, and then the walk-up was great as well. But I knew for sure we had something. Obviously, the camping was sold out too, but I knew we had something when Michael Ray was on stage.
Yeah.
And he played only 2 songs.
Just 2. So
two.
he just come on.
He was literally 10 minutes into
10 minutes into his set?
10 minutes into his 90-minute set, right?
Okay.
Michael Ray he just had a number 1 song in the country
And that
music
kind of
world.
worked out perfect, right?
Oh,
Because
awesome.
it came out and he was sort of an unknown guy.
Well, he had a couple number 1s, but then he had put his new single out,
And then it just
boom.
boom. So
Went right to number 1.
It's kismet. Everything sort of clicked in for the perfect moment for this thing.
He only plays 2 songs.
2.
And then after song number two is over, the whole crowd, mainly the right side, because everybody's
The right side's the beer side, right?
Fence, yeah. It was just all chanting, one more song. One more
They wanted
song.
an encore?
One more song.
That's it?
One more song. The funniest thing ever. Well, then I knew everybody's
in. They're having a great time.
They're in this. They love it and whatever. But Michael Ray
awesome.
comes out and he goes, I don't know about you guys, but you got me for another at least 65 more minutes. So you got to hang in there for me. They're just laughing.
That's
so hard.
awesome.
That was really cool.
All right, Scott, what's yours?
You had all the artists there and everything going on. There's one thing that really came to mind the first year was when we were doing the meet and greets.
Right.
And everybody's back there. They're outside the fence, and they're not really, I had another person that was, helping out. And I came over there, and I go, okay, everybody's got to get in a straight line or nobody's coming in. Everybody, boom, straight line. They walked in as a straight line, and they walked out. And the guy goes to me, he goes, how'd you know how to do that? And I said, I teach physical education grades K through 8, and we're in a straight line no matter what.
Oh.
So that's the one thing that stuck out the first, all the other stuff is, all the cool stuff and everything, but that's the one thing from the first year that stuck out the most.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Scott, thanks for bailing me out that first year. And thank you for still being a huge part of our team at ND Country Fest as the ops manager. And I think Jared has one more question.
I thought you said you weren't sure how this was going to go, and your brother might not be he'd be a quick interview. We weren't sure how.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know what
was great. We got to bring him back for NDCF too, so we can talk about stories then.
Hey, I'll come back anytime. Hey, I'm still part of it. He goes, you want to come back for another year? I said, call me in.
Oh, you know what? And today, for all of our listeners and everybody listening and watching on the YouTube, Scott is a huge, major part of ND Country Fest. He was there from the beginning. He's there year in and year out, and he's ahead of and his family. Obviously, he's my big brother, and I appreciate him bailing me out. And also, he's ahead of our operations, so he knows it inside and out, sideways and backwards, and everywhere, and every square little inch of that area. And he does an amazing job.
So, Scott, what are you more proud of? Luke being the fastest guy at the Colorado football camp, NDC Country Fest, or his North Dakota State University Bison football career? Or do we throw in the Arena Football League coaching too? There's so many things to pick.
I would say right now, what he has done with ND Country Fest, and the first time he told me he was going to do this, and when we left that place after Sunday, when it was over the first year, I knew he had something going real well, because the way it was, it's that feeling that you get. It's a gut feeling you get, and you keep going with it, and that's why I'm still going. And I'm having a blast. He keeps on asking, you having fun? I go, I'm having so much fun. I mean, doesn't even feel like I'm working.
Hey, you know what, Scott? I'm going to keep you on here, because the last thing that we want to talk about in this headliner segment is literally the teardown.
Oh, yeah.
Like, our teardown is amazing.
So it goes up in 3 days.
So then it was up in 2 days.
2 days.
And it went down in less than 24 hours.
Boom, gone.
And we're a no footprint left behind. We clean it. Yep. It's better than what we left it, and gone. And I remember that first year when we cleaned up and we were gone, literally dust in the wind. The people from the town were like, all of a sudden we woke up the next day.
It was gone.
Gone. Nobody was there. Nothing was there.
So
it was
is that a
super clean.
combination of the operations, or is it your campers were good at cleaning up after themselves, or how'd that work out?
Well, they are. I mean, there's other things that we do in the festival where the Keep It Clean campaign, and we have a great, Trans Trash, which
Right.
of. It does a great job with us on that as well for cleaning up everything.
Right.
But it's also our operations, and it's also our festival guests are amazing. They keep it very clean.
Right.
They know they like the environment. They like the whole thing. But also our staff, amazing. And everybody we hire, we say, hey, we need to clean up after ourselves. You have to clean constantly while we're there. So there's a big pile of junk and a huge cleanup at the end. So the end makes it a lot quicker, easier, and bang. At that day, it was in that first year, less than 24 hours. Now, obviously, it's a way bigger show.
Right.
But now it's a little bit, what would you say, Scott? Maybe less than 48 hours and we're out of there completely.
Exactly, we are. After that Saturday night, and with less than 48 hours, we're out.
So what's
right now? If you go back to the first year, we had a group that came in the next morning, took care of all the trash. Everything was cleaned up. The stage was already gone. Boom, they were out early. They were out early Sunday morning. We were taking back ice castles. We had everything was off the fences. All the banners were down. The fences were down. Everything was pulled. So by the time Luke and I, when we went, another check, we went through the campgrounds, it was spotless.
So
we didn't pick up a can. I mean, the way the campers came that were in there, and they were having a blast, but they took all their trash and put it in the dumpsters, and we were out of there. That first year, it was Sunday night. It was game over.
And still to this day, that people that come from around the country and come to our festival,
Right.
There's two things they say about us. Our festival, they say, "Oh man, is it clean?"
right?
And the other end is everybody's super nice.
3, it's pretty damn affordable.
And 3, it's pretty damn affordable.
So Scott, what's more amazing, the build up in 2 or 3 days, or the takedown in 1 day to watch?
I would say that. What was the first thing that you said?
The build up to put up the mini town, the stage, and all of that to get it all set up.
That's more amazing.
Yep. So
because you see it all come together in parts, and you see the tent. Right now, if you jump ahead to not last year, but the year before, the tents are in, the sweet tents are up, the stage comes in, everything starts getting filled in with the chairs. The vendors start coming in, the stage is up in the air, and that's the thing. You see the stage going from up, the speakers being up, and then they start getting their sound checks, and then everybody, then it just takes into a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level of adrenaline. I'll tell you right now, Jared, it's 100% adrenaline from Thursday when we open the gates, to Saturday night at 3:00 in the morning.
that's when I'm passed out.
It's 100% adrenaline, because you're going and you're going and you're going, and it's I don't know how to describe it, because it's just unbelievable what you can do as individuals, everybody working together, and everybody, all the spectators coming in and
Right.
and having a good time, and enjoying it and eating the food, and having cocktails and listening to the best music, and it's just like, man. And then next thing you know, the sun comes up Sunday morning.
Gone.
The trash is all getting picked up. The vendors are starting to leave. The stage is almost done and out of there. And then the tents are coming down. The chairs are being put away. The banners are coming down. And it's just, by Tuesday, you're like,
And we
Was
can't
there a
wait to
festival?
do it all over
You
again.
want to get it? You
Oh,
want to do
man.
another one 3 weeks from now?
Hey, Scott, thanks for joining us so much on the podcast. Love you, brother. Thanks for
you
bailing
too.
me out the first year. You're a major part of ND Country Fest and the history of the whole thing in the future to come.
That was a great interview, Scotty. Thanks for coming on.
hey, no problem, guys. Enjoy the rest of your
Know the rest, and we are